We're going to talk about that. And without further ado, you guys, I want to introduce to you and bring on the platform here Miss Forbes Riley. How are you, Forbes? I don't hear you. If you can unmute your mic, that'd be helpful.
The first thing you have to do is learn how to mute.
There we go. There we go. There we go. So everybody, I'm pumped, man. Forbes.
Yes,
so,
yes.
How are you feeling today? How are you doing? How's life?
Life is crazy. Life is the weirdest that it's ever been, and I'm going to embrace that. It's funny because I'm kind of looking at you and I realize my camera's here. I have to say that I am, in some weird, wicked way, enjoying this to no end. I am seeing things I never thought I'd see. I'm seeing inside of people's homes.
Yeah.
Watched the football draft and saw guys in their houses, in their living room.
Yeah.
Woke up with Sharon Stone the other day. She had no makeup on and she was complaining about something. Watching late night TV hosts in their home with their kids. I think it's an amazing time. That's the positive. There's a great time of growth and unfortunately, and also a time of sadness. And so for me, it's all about mindset, Vic, and we're going to talk about this too.
Yeah.
About how feeling guilty about what's going on if you're happy is not the right thing to do. So I'm going to answer some questions about that and really delve into how do you make your happiness out of everything? Because just like you, I've been through a roller coaster of life, and there's a lot of ups and a lot of downs, and it's kind of how you go through that determines who you are as a person.
And you know what? This is what I want to touch. This is what I dig in with you, into, because there are so many people right now, right? I mean, it's easy to get sucked into, oh my goodness, everything going on in the world, and my goodness, my life is over. Everybody is like talking about doom and gloom, how we're gonna live, and you. And obviously, you came into the 4%, conference. I think it was what 2017. A lot of our people met you there. And a lot of our people got inspired by what you presented and how you were able to take somebody from the audience and literally turn them around just like that. You don't do that without like living your message. Like you are the way that you can, turn people like that, right? So with the experience that you have coming into the, from the business experience and, my goodness, selling $2 billion. What was the actual number? Is that two? It's probably a lot more than that now, right?
When you get over that, you stop counting. It's kind of gratuitous.
Right. But just think about it, you guys, right? $2 billion, not million, $2 billion. And you did that on TV. So you were on TV. So we can talk a whole about posture. We're talking about presentation skills, communication skills. So I do want to touch upon that, but I do want to talk to you a little bit more about how do you, what would you say, like, from, and obviously people that don't know you, maybe give them a little 30-second, backstory on Forbes Riley, where you're coming from, but what makes somebody to become Forbes Riley versus somebody else that, continue to live in a emotional gutter? What do you think that the difference is, Forbes? Let's kind of start there, and we can, kind of go into the mindset stuff from there and business from there, and who knows where this conversation is going to go. So
I'm going to first say hi, everybody who's saying hi to me. I can see you guys. I have to kind of look over here to see who's saying hi, and I want to thank all of you so much for that. And I want you to, for a moment, take a big breath, settle into your chair, because tonight's going to be kind of interesting. I love Vic. Vic gave me an amazing opportunity. If you go to YouTube and you type in my name and the number 4P for 4%, you'll see a video of that speech that I gave that actually, when I saw the speech, changed my life. I don't think I realized at that point how impactful I could be. You know how you know who you are on the inside? And I'm going to share with you that a lot of the times I have had an imposter syndrome. I've definitely thought it's not real. I'm not how did I get here? So quick little backstory. Little girl from Long Island. I grew up, I think I started out kind of cute. I had two beautiful, loving parents. Around age 8, I got hit in the face with a baseball bat, and my crooked nose grew off the side of my face. Literally, I had the ugliest nose. I had braces for 8 years. See these great teeth? I sucked my thumb in for 8 years. Now picture this. Of railroad braces, and at one point I had a tongue cracker. Right, and you think if Vic talks funny, I talk funny all the time. And I love you. And then I had frizzy hair, and it was Long Island in the 60s, 70s, and fast food came out. My mom was 260 pounds my whole life. I was always chubby or chunky or zoptic. All I knew is I was bullied all the time. I was one of the ugliest little girls you've ever seen. But that really sucks for me. Now, get this, Vic, this is interesting because I know you've got 6 kids. I was also really smart. Really ugly and really smart makes for, you know what? Really lonely. And I don't think I realized all the things about my life. I started talking about it many years later and looked at who this little girl was. And I spent a lot of time dreaming, a lot of time watching television, dreaming that one day all I wanted to be was pretty. I wanted to get the cute guy and live the romantic dream that I saw in the movies because I spent a lot of time in the movies. So, straight A student, now I should be going to a great school, right? As I get into high school, my dad has this accident. It's a horrible industrial accident. He cuts off the front of his hand. And he was then going to spend the next 3 years in a hospital, my entire high school. He had 15 operations. And we had teams, okay? I did my schoolwork, and every night I went home to see my dad in the hospital. We had no money. We lived in a very small house. And again, all I had were these dreams. I used to watch a lot of movies and TV, and then I realized something else. And by the way, this is how, and I'm going to share with you how you manifest anything and everything that you want. I have manifested absolute miracles for no other reason than I wanted. And if you play with me, I'm going to teach you how to want something, how to dream bigger. I mean, and Vic has the same experience. You know, you come from another side of the world and you create all this. No one gives a lot of the people that you see who've made it, who are passionate about it, and then they just went for it. And I'm going to tell you, it doesn't mean there's not a slings and arrows and bullies and all of these crazy things you hear in your head. But I remember my dad's hospital room was at the corner of the hospital. And my town was a pretty small, kind of beachy town. There was one big house in my town. And when you drove past, all you could see were these giant cypress trees, these green, tall trees. You always kind of wondered what was back there. Well, his room overlooked that house. And I remember looking down at that house very often. And it had a giant circular driveway like you see in the movies. It was all red brick, two big chimneys. And as a little girl, I remember thinking, what must Halloween be like at their house? Do they get full candy bars? Do they have like real Christmas with real chimneys like I used to see in the movies? Because we didn't have that. And I became so fixated on it that I don't even know if I realized it. By the time I got after college, I ended up working. I decided to apply for a job to become a social secretary for a billionaire couple. I actually really wanted to know what it was like to live like that. So I did. And how did I do it? I applied for a job. And I mean, I had no skills. And in fact, I was so underqualified, but over enthusiastic that one day we're sitting in the car and Mrs. Gray says, you need to go get Louis Vuitton out of the trunk. And I said, who's in the trunk? And she looked at me and she said, oh, you'll learn. And I remember saying to myself, you know what? I will. I want to know what this other side of this same life, we're all on the same planet. And I don't know why some people are struggling and other people seem. And it has become my life's mission. Number one, you have to define what all is. So Vic, for a long time, like in my mid-20s, I'm thinking, how do I have it all? And I was making myself nuts. You have to have 2 kids and the husband and the this and the that. And then I did the greatest thing I've ever done. I started to redefine life to work for me. I took the word all and I turned it on its head and it became ALL, a loving life. And I said, you know what? I do have it all. I really do. I have a loving life. And if that's what that means to me, then I can say very confidently, I have it all. I had to redefine the word diet for myself because all through my 20s, and I'll take this a long story. I mean, I've worked on Broadway. I've starred in movies. I helped create the X Games for ESPN. I have talk shows and game shows. I've never had a real job ever, but I've had lots of jobs. And then I've made lots of money and I created lots of products. And we'll share all of that because I just literally kept dreaming because nobody told me that I couldn't have my dreams. That was the big thing. My parents always said, just go for it, whatever it meant. And so the word diet always plagued me. My mom was 260 pounds my whole life. We lived on fast food. I hated being bullied. And at one point I just had enough. And I turned diet on its side, DIET. So Vic, if I asked you, you're pretty fit. But if you ask anybody who's a little overweight, who ever struggled, they say diet is deprivation, starvation, frustration.
Well, it's got the word die in it.
Well, that's if you want it to.
Right.
Turn it on its side, my friend, and it's important because if you fight your weight, you feel less confident, you feel less than. And I was very determined to be the best version of me. DIET. Decisions I eat today.
I love it.
I created an entire program journal about that. It's the thing that actually saved my life because I was on Broadway with Christopher Reeve from Superman, and I had to go to Overeaters Anonymous. And I don't share this story very often, but I was so depressed about wanting to be this actress. I mean, I started in a movie, and you can lots of movies. But first movie right out of school, but I was always a little heavy. On my thighs because I hated my thighs so much. And you want to know what happened? And again, I don't share this very often, but I had made enough money in my career in my 20s. I drove my car to this place. And by the way, Kanye's West mother died of the exact same thing that I did. They let you go home that day. I'm wearing embarrassed that I haven't told my parents. And I got a 4-story walk up in a Chinese restaurant in Hell's Kitchen up to the very top floor, and there's blood everywhere. And I crawled into my room, and I remember thinking, it, I don't care. I don't want to be bullied anymore. I'm tired of fighting my weight and my body and whatever. And the crazy thing about the universe is I got a phone call that afternoon from an old friend of mine who was studying Michio Kuchi's macrobiotic cooking up in Boston. And he said, something told me I need to call you. And I was crying on the phone. He said, I'm flying down tonight. And he brought vitamins and whatever. And I will tell you, I actually don't really remember his name. That guy saved my life. And I've had enough near death and other things go on in my life that I know if you're still here, you're here for a reason. Make it matter. And so when I started tonight earlier about COVID and what we're going through, and I raised a beautiful boy for 12 years of his life. I got him when he was 8, and he was murdered. He was shot and killed by another kid and left on the street on a Sunday morning. You want to talk about how bad life can be? I had a kidney stone because of stress a couple of years ago. I'm lying in a New York City hospital and I am dying. They did surgery on me and it's gone septic, and I spent 10 days with enough antibiotics to kill a horse. I mean, nobody was really worried about me at that time, right? So I know what it's like to have the bad part.
Yeah.
And if you flirted enough with fear and death, how's that for shocking you?
Forbes, what is okay? So I'm just taking notes here. You're talking, and there's so much gold. If you guys are picking this up, drop it in a comment. Drop us in a comment right here. Let me know if you guys are picking this up, because for me, there's at least a couple of $1 million ideas that you already discussed here, right? So number one, you said, you were underqualified, but you compensated with enthusiasm, right? Did you say underqualified but over enthusiastic, right? Mm-hmm. There you go. Hey,
that's my beautiful 17-year-old son who just popped in to say hi. And by the way, you can train your kids. At 17, he still kisses his mom in front of his friends.
That's how to do it. That's how to do it. Underqualified, but you over enthusiastic. Okay, so were you? Was this natural to you? Did you learn this from somebody? Like, how did that happen? Because this is like what you're talking about right now, can be applied to selling, presenting, webinars, pretty much anything, right? So let's start there. Where did that come from? How did you develop enthusiasm for? Is this natural thing? Is this learned? Is this a skill? You know what I'm talking about?
I think one of the things that you have to do, and I see a lot of you commenting, and I love that you are, is you've got to decide what you want. What is it that you want?
Right.
What are you willing to go the distance for? And then, and I'm not kidding, you really want to write this down. I wanted to act. I thought I did. I know I wanted to be famous. I knew I wanted to kiss movie stars. I knew that I wanted my life to matter. I've always known this, and I'm funny because on my birthday, which was a couple of weeks ago, well, last week actually, I found some of my old journals, and I down. It doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
Most people, when I ask them, and I did this on your stage, you guys don't dream big enough. You are scared to dream. That blows my mind. How big do you want to get? And I'm not talking about I want to be a billionaire. That's not a dream. What a dream is, I want to serve 1 million people. Well, then you could eventually be, but what do you want to serve them? What do you want to do? What's your talent? What's your expertise? It's not necessarily what Vick and I do. You don't necessarily need to be the front person. I mean, all the guys that all did your production, they're genius. You love to do. And I know it's a little trite when they say, oh, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. Guess what? So one of my dreams when I was little, and bear with me on this, I wanted to be James Bond. I know that's crazy, right? Doesn't that sound silly? No, don't you want to be a Bond girl? No, no, you don't understand.
Uh-huh.
I wanted to be a spy. I wanted to scuba dive and water ski and snow ski and dress in crazy amazing. And I wanted this so bad that I actually have done all of those things. I scuba dived in Club Med when I had no money. I had snow skiing and got paid to do stand-up comedy at ski resorts. How did you do that? I wanted it. I really wanted to be James Bond. I have gadgets. I love gadgets. And back nowadays, think about all the cool gadgets that you have. Well, I'm talking about James Bond in the 70s. And I wanted the fun, fast car. And I flew my first airplane when I was 15 years old. I'm not kidding about how in my head, because I had to escape my reality. My reality was pretty bad. So imagine, and it's funny, I'm going to start to cry actually. So every day you go home after, it's funny. No. This is one reason I speak too, so I can make some clarity and point of my life.
It's real.
Every day you go home and you got your mom and your sister and you go, we used to go to McDonald's and get, the thick milkshakes and you visit your dad, the rock of who you are in the hospital.
Yeah.
I mean, at one point he had a surgery where he had his hand stuck inside his arm to let his skin grow onto his, 15 operations, you don't want to know. And then at some point in all of this, I know this is another wow, what happened to you? My mom got held up in my house at gunpoint. Kind of a long story how that happened. We live in a very suburban neighborhood, but my parents belong to the gun club. I come home one day, I'm 15 years old, I already have enough issues, and there's cop cars everywhere. And I don't know if my mom's alive or dead. And she never really, as we talk about it, shared all that happened. But they ransacked the house and it was 2 hours. It was horrible. And so I've got all of this in my head and in my heart. And I just I didn't want to be this ugly girl. In fact, here's a story how the ugly girl turned into the pretty girl. My mom says to me one day, she said, we don't have enough money for college. I'm really sorry. I was top of my class. I had dreams of going to Harvard and Yale and all the things I envisioned. And she said, and you have no scholarship money. Wow. Then she says, but there's this pageant. And I said, Mom, she said, no, don't worry. It's not a beauty pageant. Thank you, Mom. My dad's doctor overheard that and said, I'm going to fix her nose. I'm talking, it was really odd looking. So I went in at 15 and he did a nose job. So the braces came off. And all of a sudden I lost a little weight and I got my hair cut. And I show a picture that I've got of this rather ugly little girl who over the course of 2 weeks became really cute. I went into this pageant. Now, the pageant, by the way, was a nationally televised Miss Teenage America pageant. And the auditions were for Miss Teenage New York. And it was a written test, a personality, and a talent. I could tap dance, even though I had big chunky thighs. Personality, who knows? And I was smart. I went in, there were 500 girls there. And I remember holding my dad's good hand. He took me, it was in the shopping mall, actually. And this was the very first time in my life where I said, I'm going to do this. I'm going to win. And I'm not going to win for me. I'm going to win because I need to save my family. I had a huge why. I've dissected it a lot later. I don't even think I consciously knew this, but I wanted to win. I had to win. I had to do something for my family. I couldn't take it anymore. And it was like 3 weeks of auditions. And there's a picture of me standing at the bridesmaid's dress, but it had a big, like, fake diamond kind of buckle, and it was blue chiffon. And in my head, I was Audrey Hepburn in the movie Roman Holiday. In my head, I was a princess. Nobody knew it. And you can see I look different from all the other girls there. It's fascinating to look at that. And in the same vein, I urge you, I've been watching Michael Jordan's documentary on called Last Dance. When you watch Michael Jordan's face, that man wanted to win every time he went out on the court. When I look at that picture of Forbes Riley, that girl was going to win. There's no way she couldn't. I had already won in my head. So what did I do? I do the same thing I've always done. By the way, you can fake it until you make it. You do not have to have everything in place. You don't have to be perfect. But I wanted it, and I walked up there, and I will tell you, I won. I won Miss Teenage New York, and I am, oh my God, I thought my life was going to change. It kind of did. I get to the nationals. Now, the nationals are in Oklahoma, in the middle of our country, where all the little girls are raised to be beauty queens. And I'm like the New Yorker, right? And I'm like, and they're like, y'all have the funniest accent I ever heard. I'm like, what the F you talking about? I have an accent.
Yeah.
I had no idea how out of place I was now going to feel. And so I went from really high to really weirdly low. And that's been a lot of my life, understanding how to cope with the low and standing up anyway. And I'm going to say that the truth is, I faked it a lot. You don't have to be that qualified. You don't need the college degree. You don't need a lot of what you think you got to turn out the noise. I actually teach class, Vic, because here's what all my students have said over the years. I think I started teaching my real class in my living room 15 years ago because I had things I wanted to show people. Get me in your head. I sometimes have Forbes in my head when I can't do something. I need to have enough, like muster up enough courage to make that phone call, to ask that person to get outside of myself, because basically I'm very shy. I could be very happy just here alone, but something just says, you know what? Go anyway. Go do it. It's okay if you fail. You have nothing to lose. And I will tell you, at some points in my life when I had nothing to lose, I took the biggest leaps. And the truth is, I've had lots of bumps, but ultimately you never really fail. I wouldn't jump off a cliff without a parachute, but I'm going to tell you, sometimes the parachute, you still hit a couple of rocks on the way down. And
Yeah.
you've got to find somebody like me who's a cheerleader. I've always had a friend in my life who thought that I was special. Does that make sense? And having that person believe in me was always very important to me. All through that pageant, I had my girlfriend, Janet. I've had lots of that kind of girl who just said, you know what, Forbes, we believe that you can go move mountains. Go ahead and do it.
This is another thing. Like as you saying this story, I'm thinking to myself, did you have like a lot of people supporting you in those dreams? Because it seems to me like you just went out for these big, giant, unfeathered them, right? But the question is like most people would be like, oh my goodness, Forbes, you must be special. You had the whole world supporting you. And I'm actually genuinely curious because I don't know. Did you have a lot of support from home? Did you have a lot of people telling you that you couldn't do it? And, your friends were telling you that you could turn mountains and move mountains and that kind of stuff. What was the environment like that allowed you to go after all these? Because what you have achieved, I mean, that's phenomenal. I mean, normal human beings don't achieve what you were able to achieve in your career, Forbes. And I want to dig into like what was the environment? Was the environment a big role? Was that you like locking yourself into that mindset? Like what was the difference there?
I have never had a lot of friends. I know thousands of people.
Yeah.
But my people close to me would always say, Forbes, you have a wall around you. Because I always talk different. You know what? I had my wonderful mom and dad. They both died 20 years ago. And I think, I kind of went to the FU School of Business. Hashtag watch me. Screw you. I'm going to do it. Because I didn't have a lot of people supporting me. I had the weirdest dreams anyone's ever had. Okay. And I would take nuggets of something, a little tiny something that somebody would say, and I would own that. And I spent a ridiculous amount of time alone. Here's how big a loner I am. And I'm okay to geek out with the geekiest of people you've ever met. I get out of college. And by the way, I graduated a year early of high school. I was smart. I wanted to see Europe. I had zero money. I literally auditioned for my first movie, which was in a newspaper ad. It wasn't actually an agent. And you can see the movie called Splatter University. I got the lead role. But here's the right?
Yeah.
I've got it in my head that we scraped enough money to get me to college. I'm going to be a lawyer. That's what I thought in my hometown. If you were smart, you were either a doctor or a lawyer. Nobody mentioned what a CEO. I didn't even know what a CEO was until I was in my 30s. I didn't know what corporations and business. I didn't know any. We had a very odd childhood. And so I get to college, and I have this idea that maybe I could be an actress like the ones that went to the Oscars. Maybe I could stand there in this beautiful dress. I would love that. Okay? I've always auditioned for plays in high school. I always got chorus, like nothing. But in my head, I still was the special one, okay?
Yeah.
Senior year in college, and I hope you guys love this. I auditioned for Shakespeare's As You Like It. I'm the drama teacher. I mean, it's actually really kind of an academic school, not a drama school. This was the biggest play they were going to do, and Shakespeare's Rosalind is the biggest female character. So I auditioned, and I'm expecting when I go to look at it that I'm going to get chorus or townsperson number 3, and I'm not even there. And the first thought I remember very clearly was, oh my God, I'm that bad. I didn't even get like the small part. And then I look up to see who's got the name at the very top, who's going to play Rosalind. And I get up to the very top, and there's my name. And I had that moment of going, somebody's made a mistake. What do I don't even know Shakespeare. I can't, this is ridiculous. And I marched my little butt down to the Professor David Richmond's office. He was the drama teacher and the director of the play. And I said, okay, help me understand this. Why would you cast me? Right? Yeah. He sat me down, and I hope to God that you could all have one moment like this in your life. And he said, Forbes, you have a depth of soul, you have a pain, you have a passion, you are this, you are that. He told me I had heard in my own head, and maybe my mom a little bit, but here's the weird, crazy thing about Professor David Richmond. He was 100% legally blind. That's why he was directing Shakespeare, because he couldn't see. He loved the written word. And I put together that this man who couldn't visually see was the first man to see me, to see who I really was. And I had this moment, and nobody gave it to me. I just took, the play was successful. I did really well, got good reviews. And that was enough for me to hold on to say, Mom and Dad, I love you. I'm not going to be a lawyer. I'm going to go be an actress. I'm going to go to New York City with no money, and I'm going to make it. And the crazy thing is, I got the lead role in my very first movie I auditioned for. Now, it's not a great story. I didn't become Julia Roberts or Sandra Bullock like I wanted to. But here's a funny thing that happened. After I got that, and I got like $2,000, I thought, man, I did this. I was still living at my parents' house. I wanted to see Europe. I wanted to see all the places I had dreamed of, okay? I took the money. I found Arthur Firm with Europe on $20 a day. And I made a map of Europe, and I decided, and I also said, I'm not taking anybody with me. Remember, I really am that kind of a loner. I'm a wacko kid, right? My mom is freaking out. She's never left the country. I'm going to start in Britain. I'm going to go down France, dip into Spain, go across the south of France, maybe go to Italy, head up the other side, and when I have no more money, I'll come home. But actually, that's not true. I said I was going to tear out the pages of the book. And when I had just the cover, I'm coming home. That's a wacko plan. And if my daughter said that to me, I would be throwing up. I'd be so scared. And there's no internet. It took 6 months to get a letter across the ocean.
Yeah.
I have a little Walkman. Remember what a Walkman is, guys? With a cassette, my dad's big camera. And I'm terrified I'm going to lose the camera because someone's going to steal it on a train. I heard these horrible stories that they gas trains in Italy and they steal your stuff. And I had all of these traveler's checks, okay? And that was the plan that I had. And lo and behold, I did it. And not only did I do it, but it was amazing. I forged my Eurail pass 3 times. I know you can't even, I shouldn't even be telling you this stuff, right? I know, but I wanted to stay there and see these. And every time I saw like something I dreamed of, like the Parthenon or the Colosseum, my head was like, oh my God, these things are real and it's magnificent. And I kept going. 6 months I'm on the road by myself. Now, I met lots of people. I had lots of adventures. I slept outside at train stations. I jumped off a train in Figueroa, Spain to see a Salvador Dali museum. I ended up finding a boat that took you to what a magnificent adventure. And then the crazy thing was I'd send a postcard home every day to my parents. And hopefully one day I'll maybe make this into a book because I have all of those, hundreds of postcards, and I kept a journal of everything. And what a magnificent, crazy story. Now, I'm going to share something with you. Something happened that I didn't really ever discuss until recently. The week that I left, I get to England. Remember, I had no money, so people with money kind of intrigued me. I'm leaving the hotel one morning, and a beautiful man in a white suit, kind of looking like John Travolta, is coming into the hotel. He kind of looked at me, I looked at him, and he's like, he's like, may I take you to dinner? And I'm like, uh-huh. We went to dinner, Middle Eastern gentleman who was a singer. All I know is I came this close to being kidnapped, to never seeing my family, never seeing my life again. It was a very long night. We went to hear them dance. And in 1981, it was an interesting time for Middle Easterners in London. And I don't know, I'm just kind of gullible. All I remember, and all I'm going to go into right now, is that I have a pair of gold earrings that one of the sheiks gave me and pushed me out the back door and said, run. And that was the first week out of the US. I still have those earrings. They live in my drawer. I've never worn them. I don't think I can. But I don't think I realized that that's what trafficking is. And so remember, you have to, and I hid that thing for a long time. I didn't even know what had happened. I didn't want to absolutely believe. I mean, imagine if that had actually happened. I was there by myself. No one would have had any idea where I was, and I wouldn't be telling you this story. So every once in a while, when you say, well, how do you get out of bed? How do you live so life? I'm like, I'm here. You don't understand. I came that close to not being here. And I have a lot of those stories of how close I came to not being here. And I'm going to continue to be here and be here for you. And you guys are all watching online and typing. And I love this connection. But I'm going to tell these stories and share videos and make a point because for some reason I am still here. And if it serves you, take the story with you. Because what have I told you so far? You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have the best education. I told you one thing. You have to have a dream. And by the way, when you get that dream, when you get that dream, make a new, don't stop. And if anybody tells you no, first of all, no means never ending opportunity. Stop listening to people other than me, other than Vick. People risk, they haven't dreamed, they haven't dared. I mean, I gotta say, I'm holding in my hand the stupidest thing in the entire world. It's grossed over $30 million. Let me tell you, because I was so used to having people put me down, when I was on a national reality show and made fun of and told that this would never work. Remember I told you about the FU School of Business? That's what I basically said to the world. Because these two guys who put me on this TV show spent 5 months filming it, said this will never work. And for the last 10 years, I have made 3 pieces of metal and a string, one of the most popular fitness products, for no other reason than I said I was going to. I don't think I could have done that if I hadn't gone through what I've done before. I'm 100% financed on my own. I mean, don't even ask how I did it. I mean, I financed my mortgage on my house and my kids' education. I pushed all my chips in, and I'm not really a business major. I had a dream. I had a very clear vision. I have vision boards that I've had my entire life. Go get a picture of the house that you really want to live in, the guy or girl that you really want to be in a relationship with. Dare to dream big and check in with me, because if Forbes is big enough, I'm liable to say no. And if it's not big enough, it's not specific enough. Really quick story. Grubhub, okay? You're hungry, right? Call up Grubhub. Hey, Grubhub, what do you want? I want something to eat. Yeah, I want maybe Chinese food. No, maybe I'll have a hamburger. I don't know what I want. Click. They hang up on you, right? Still on, by the way? I want to make sure that because I don't see anything moving on my video. We're good?
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
All right, good. They hang up on you. Now, call up Grubhub again and say, hey, Grubhub, I would like a Caesar salad. 20 minutes later, you know what shows up at your door? On the side. How did they know? Because you told them.
Right.
You told them exactly what you wanted. And if I don't know what higher power you believe in, here's my thing about higher powers. I know leaves come back every year. I know there's Mother Nature. There's things that you can't understand.
Yeah.
So if you can't understand it, that's okay. Let's pretend it's real. Let's pretend there's little angels listening to you. And if you can tell them what you want, they can then give it to you. I've asked my friends girl-wise, say, what kind of guy do you want? Oh, I want somebody funny. No, you don't. Because the guy that was funny, who was really round with no hair and one tooth, you didn't like him, but that's all you asked for. He was really funny. I did something completely different. I actually asked for somebody who looked like he walked off the cover of a romance novel. Have you seen my guy? I don't think in a million years, a sane person at my age would have said, that's the guy that I want. I had a long list of criterias. But the really crazy one was how he looked. And I know this is really shallow, and I get to be really shallow, okay? You can say anything that you want, I don't care. Everybody comes in all kind of packages. I want someone who was romantic, who looked and sounded like he came off the cover of a romance novel, right? So I'm gonna go and find this picture. In fact, I think he's in the house if you guys want to meet him. But part of it was who he was, and then part of it was what he said. So I'm gonna find this for you.
Specificity is power, isn't it?
Oh, more than power. And I'm gonna give you another example.
Yeah.
If, Vic, think of the entrepreneurs that we know, the speakers that we know. If they were architects, every building would fall down. You know what? Think they would. They have an idea, they have another idea, have another idea.
Yeah.
An architect makes a drawing. draw every light socket, every area, every corner, every angle, every one of them, because he gives that piece of paper, a non-dimensional piece of paper, to a builder who has enough information to build a skyscraper, because every detail was already thought out and drawn out. Sometimes they even make models of those things so that you can actually visualize it, because it's really important to do that. We don't do that. So when I said I wanted someone who looked like he walked off a cover of a romance novel, I also said something I wanted, because this is my second time around. I said, I want a power couple. I looked at Randy Gerber and Cindy Crawford. I looked at Laird Hamilton and Gabrielle Reese. I looked at Tom Brady. No, I know every one of them, right? This is the gentleman who walked in. Now, I didn't go on Tinder. I didn't go to a bar. Can you guys see him?
Yeah, it's visible.
What does he look like? Looks like he walked off the cover of a romance novel. He's tall.
Looks like a stud to me. Yeah.
But I will tell you something else. He's also that. I wanted something really silly. I don't know about you, but I have had, you get what you tolerate. In some parts of my life, I allowed myself to get whatever came, because even though I talk a good game, sometimes it's hard to live that, just to be really clear. I wanted somebody who rolled over in the morning and said, even though I might have some mascara on my face or my hair is all kind of frizzy, because it is in the morning, right? And your breath smells terrible, who just hugged you and said, baby, you are the most beautiful, and I love you just the way you are. Joshua, come here for a second. Come here for a second. You happen to be sitting in the room. That guy showed up. How do you get that guy to show up? I don't know. Here's the crazy thing about Joshua, guys, and indulge me for a second. But on January 2nd, he was in a very bad motorcycle accident. And so while many of us have been living in a quarantine for 2 months, we've actually been stuck in the house. He was in surgery. He was in ICU. And come here for a second, baby. Come here. Come sit down for a second, because you're having.
That's what happens when you have Forbes around. Hey, Josh. Good to meet you, Josh.
Actually, it's there's Vick. You can see him here. You can actually see it better there. That's real time. This is delayed. So, do you get embarrassed when I tell that story?
Maybe at first I did, but now it's like I don't care.
Yeah. So why me?
Because you're amazing. You're the I don't know, the first day I met you, you had, I don't know, spirit in you that I've never seen before, never felt, so positive, so energetic, and you just love what you did. And that's what I took from you. I knew that you're special. And and then the more I got to know you and hung out with you, the more I fell in love right away.
Boom.
I can't tell you how much I want.
How you doing?
You shake your head.
I got bored one day. Okay.
All right. Well, you gonna have a good recovery? You still getting there?
I'm getting there.
Yeah. So you have to be careful. Everybody thinks sometimes it's all glossy and looks so good. He actually just popped in because he's working on
what's up. You never know what you get with Forbes. See, guys, this is why I love this kind of a setup, is because the conversation can go either way, and there's so many things that we can talk about. You guys enjoying this so far? Yeah, almost 500 people here in the room, right? Forbes, people, I don't know if you can see the comments, Forbes, but people say you're on fire, you're inspiring them. People want to cry listening to your story. So beautiful. Loving life, a loving life. All, redefine the meanings is another thing. Yeah.
I want you guys, okay, so here's a couple of other meanings. We get stuck in other people's definitions. Here's one. I wanted babies. I didn't know I did. You know, in my 20s, I was running around. I knew I wanted a baby or so.
Mm-hmm.
Then 9/11, make one. Now actually I'm in my 40s. I almost forgot to have them, and we tried and couldn't. 9/11 hits, and we lost 9 of the guys that I grew up with. My brother-in-law was a New York City fireman. All of our friends died when the second building came down. Remember I told you my life has been massive ups and downs? We all remember where we were on 9/11.
Yes.
I actually, that night before, I had just lost both my parents, and my sister drove me to the airport the night before on September 10th. I was going to then fly from Washington back to California on flight United 93. That's a plane that didn't make it. Okay? Get real right now. She drives me to the airport that night, and I go up to the counter, and the woman at the counter says it's United First Class, and she said, well, you're going to DC, where are you sleeping tonight? And I thought that was a very brazen question. I said, I don't know, I'll sleep in the airport. I don't care. And she said, no, you're first class. What if I just reroute you through Denver?
Wow.
Now, I don't know that woman's name, but I'm alive because of that woman.
Wow.
Okay? I don't forget that on a regular basis. That's a pretty old memory right now. But I got to tell you, and here's the crazy thing. It was raining that night, so bad that the flight on the tarmac was delayed for 2 hours. I remember watching Dr. Dolittle 2, and I remember the cockpit door was open, and there was a pilot. I don't know if I lost or not. And I remember thinking that you'll never see the cockpit door open again after that. And because I'm a pilot, so we sat and we chatted. I get to Denver, and because we were so delayed, my bags are not going to be there, and they don't have a flight. And, blah, blah, blah. And somehow I saw, rather than go to LA, I could go to Burbank. I got home, and I woke up the next morning, and my sister was like one of the last calls made. She's like, turn on the news, click. My brother-in-law is a New York City fireman. Down, there's a picture of their truck. We all, as kids, as you know, we would go and spend 24 hours in the firehouse. I mean, you have no idea what it did to me and my family. In fact, because of how I'm wired, and Danny, my brother-in-law, who you'll see every anniversary of this, they find him. And he always he's now a policeman in Arizona. He carries the pictures of the 9 guys he worked with. But he got on a bike. We arranged a tour for him and 4 other firemen to go from city to city. They went from New York to Pennsylvania, across to California, Pasadena, on their bikes to thank the firehouses along the way. It took 33 days to ride 100 miles a day. And we put that tour together 2 months after this happened because of how I'm wired. A massive tragedy just took place, and you don't just stand there. You go, okay, now what? Now people need to heal. Now people need this. It didn't matter. We were in action mode. And that was one of the most tragic things that had occurred, because actually, as I was sitting there, it didn't dawn on me till the next day when my ex looked at me and said, what flight were you on? Now, here's the funny thing about that flight. There were 2 producers from the TV series Cheers on that plane. I probably would have sat with them. I probably would have been very happy. But the universe said, no, that's not how this story is going to end. And so that's one of those things I live with. Here's another thing, Vic, and I'm just one person. I don't know how I have all of these stories. Where were you on October 1st, 2 years ago? Do you know?
October 1st, now I don't remember.
Okay, I'm on the top floor of Mandalay Bay. I had just left Grant Cardone's private dinner party.
Oh.
He and myself and Kevin Harrington, he says, hey, you guys want to go downstairs and play poker? And I said, I want to take Joshua and I want to go take a picture of the strip, because the foundation room overlooked the strip. We walk out there, and a minute and a half later, click, bump, click, 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 pop, pop, pop.
You were right.
We're taking
there.
videos
Wow.
as the guy 10 floors. Let me tell you something. It's on my iPhone. Go to YouTube and Google my name and Las Vegas, and you will see stories for days. Not only did I witness this, I was part of this.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is, this is a little weird personal story. Not many people ever get to hear this story. So Joshua and I had just started dating. I was so excited about that. This actually happens. As it's happening, you think it was fireworks. We come inside, and everyone goes on their phone looking for like CNN, where's the news? Well, funny thing, when you are the news, there is no news. That's kind of a weird thing. You're like, well, maybe it's not real. Maybe it's just fireworks. That was the first 2 minutes of this. Next, you hear on Twitter, oh my God, they're bombing and they're killing people in Bellagio, New York, and you're like, well, what? And you're like, your head goes, hello. Then there's a guy. Now the foundation was a long, skinny room on one end of it. The door bursts open. A guy with a machine gun goes, everybody get the F on the floor. Tragedy. People who don't move die.
Yeah.
And so I burst back out the door onto the outdoor platform. The door shuts. Joshua, and nobody's behind me. There's nobody there. They're all in the room, and all I hear is screaming and yelling, and I'm like, oh my God, this is just like the nightclub Push. There's a guy killing people. He's going to kill my... Okay. I got my phone. I'm crouched behind a flower pot, calling my family, going, I love you guys. I think I'm going to die. I think this is it. People are dying everywhere. And I'm in the middle of all this, and I'm alone outside on the patio. I'm out there for a few minutes listening to what's going on inside. I kind of start to crawl underneath. I find a wet bar, and I'm like, I'm going to go under the bar. And me, and I, to this day, could just throw up. There's a big SWAT thing on his chest, SWA, and I'm like, then I look in the room, and I see all these people with their hands on their heads, and I'm like, we're all prisoners. I can't even express to you all the things I thought. We get into the room, and here's what happened. There's only one balcony in that entire hotel. The SWAT guys thought the killer must have been in the room with us. So he burst in to protect us, and we didn't know that. And the killer turns out to be 10 floors below, who had shot out a window. No one had ever done that before, and that's how he was firing at the concert. We then spent the next 11 hours, 100 of us, locked in the foundation room. The news is up there. We're reading this. We are the news. I start Facebook Live. The best thing I did was take my power cord with me. Everybody wanted a power cord. And I start to talk about what's going on. I mean, a lot of my friends saw this. You guys, I mean, I was talking to everybody from Good Morning Britain to Good Morning Japan. And it went from 2 people killed to 20 people killed. 11 hours later, they let us out. And Joshua and I look up at the Mandalay Bay and see that there's 2 windows. There's no one on the strip. There's sirens, and you can see, there's dead people behind that wall where the concert was. Yeah. And we have to walk a couple of miles to get to the Palms Hotel, our hotel. There's nobody on the street. It's the apocalypse. Life is over. And we're walking and we're in shell shock. And then the phone starts ringing, and all of a sudden, I am asked to be on Good Morning Britain with Piers Morgan, and all of a sudden, for the next week, I'm just giving interviews. I mean, like I had anything. Why me? And so I had to put together what had happened. And I said, maybe why me is because I'm a good communicator. I've been a broadcast journalist, and I had the ability to communicate some of what was actually going on to the world as it was going on. That was it took me a year to get over that. I probably still have some issues. When firecrackers go off, I actually have a weird, very upsetting reaction.
No kidding.
Well, that's a lot of life,
No kidding. That's a lot. Forbes, you got something about you, like, we didn't even get to talk about business much, which, you guys want to talk about business. I mean, can you see how something like Forbes, like your personality, just something about you that is just, I can see why you're successful. I can see why opportunities are attracted to you. The things you talked about, right? Vision boards, specificity, dream big, going all out, like risk taker like nobody else's business, right? Massive action. You're that type of person. And do you accredit your business success to having those attributes and your personality? And how is that different from running a business?
Okay, I will be very square with you. I'm probably not the best person to run a business. What I managed to do is to take my talent and my skill, and this is something I'm now going to start teaching. And in business school, I learned how to leverage other people's platforms. So look at what just happened tonight. There's 400 and some odd people here.
Yeah.
Vic, I'm actually leveraging your business skills. You invited me to speak on your stage, and I leveraged your business skills. When I would shoot a television show, I didn't write it or have to produce it. I leveraged that. As an infomercial, I leveraged that. So one of the things I actually, at this point in my life, want to teach you guys, and I'm sorry, I got a little carried away. I'm sitting in my own home. I've been sitting at this desk all day doing Zoom calls, and I feel like I know you guys. I just adore Vic. It's amazing how we met and connected. Here's a couple of things I learned. By the way, you're a prime example, our relationship, of this thing I used to call the $100,000 handshake.
Yeah.
I don't have anybody to play what you do. There's a couple of goofy little things I do. Let's start with your name. You go to a party, and you ever forget somebody's name at a party? You don't know how to call them, and you feel a little uncomfortable?
Happens all the time.
Right. You know why? It's not that you need to take the memory course. They didn't make it memorable. Here's what they do. Hey, Vic, blah, 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 my name is nice to meet you.
Yeah.
What was your name? And there's no money in nice to meet you. You and I met. Hey, Vic, My name is Forbes. Forbes Riley. Forbes is in the magazine. Nice to meet you. What imagery do you have in your head about me right now?
Yeah, the big personality. We got Forbes. You connected yourself to the magazine, and everybody heard about Forbes. And yeah,
I do this with, and this is an NLP trick. Now, there's another goofy thing in my past. My dad's a magician. I grew up doing magic tricks. The cool thing about magic tricks is a magician is actually lying to you the entire time, and you don't mind.
and people, right, and people know it.
Well, of course you know it.
Yeah.
If I'm going to cut a girl in half, do you think he's actually cut the girl in half?
Right.
No. So why did you pay him money to lie to you? Because you didn't buy that. You bought a moment of suspended belief because you wanted that, right? So there's a funny thing in your brain. That minute when you meet somebody, you're very vulnerable. How are you? I just did this with Adam, one of the guys who's got a big podcast. His name is Adam Torres. I said, hey, my name is Adam. Adam Torres. Adam is the first man of podcasting. When you want to do a podcast, you want to think of me. Wow. I do this because it happens so quickly, but it's like, wow, I remember that. So take your name, and sometimes it's easier than not to come up with this little moment that, wow, okay. Second thing, and everybody asks this to you, Vick, what do you do? You're at a party. Hey,
right.
Nice to meet you, Vick Stricehouse. What do you do?
Oh, you asking me that question right now?
Yep. I'm going to put you on the spot.
I help people become great. I help entrepreneurs become great.
Okay. Now, the problem with that answer is it doesn't elicit a response from me because I don't know what great means.
Right.
And I may be an entrepreneur, but it was like, okay, that's nice for you. Now try this with me. And I'm putting him on the spot. So let's not get, so get a yes from me. Hey, Vick, what do you do?
I help digital entrepreneurs become the best in their field. Are you interested? What are you doing?
Okay. All right. Now I'm going to change the question. I want all of you to listen to this. Imagine I said to you, Vick, hey, Vick, what can you do for me? Now, what would you say?
Hold on. So context plays a big role, right? So if I'm in if I'm hanging out with you and we're like a party, then I know that you're a fellow entrepreneur, for example. There would be a different answer than if you were like a regular girl from the street that I just met.
No,
right?
actually, I don't want it to be different. I'll tell you why. Because people always say that to me. Well, I have to know who I'm talking to. No, you don't. Because your best customer might be that person's husband. So don't waste this opportunity. Don't spend any time trying to figure out what they do. So if I were you, Vick, I might say, and again, I'm doing this off the top of my head.
Right.
Hi, I'm Vick Stricehouse. By the way, you come from what nationality are you?
Ukraine.
Okay. So, hey, my name is Ukrainian means successful entrepreneur. Oh, really? That's a joke. But now I know where your accent comes from. Funny thing in America, if you have an accent, we spend a lot of time trying to figure out where you're from. I would like to close that down very quickly. So it's Ukrainian for a great entrepreneur. That's what Stricehouse means. Okay, maybe not. It's kind of funny, right? And you laugh. Then when they say, what do you do? I have marketing tools anyone can use to make money in their sleep. Want to know how? Yes.
Got it.
That's a good answer, by the way.
That's a very good answer.
I don't care if you're an entrepreneur. And so all of a sudden, and I will tell you, if you master that one moment, that is how you get the meetings.
Yeah.
But so, by the way, I'm going to take you back to something and show you guys something. I didn't get into Grant Cardone's party because he didn't know who I was. And I know he didn't. So here's the funny thing. I wanted to meet him at that moment. This is years ago, right? In fact, Vick, I was supposed to meet him at 4%. He was slated to be on your stage, and he wasn't.
Yes.
And it was at an early stage, but I had a vibe about him. He comes walking down the hall in the hotel in Las Vegas with him and his wife. Now, I've done my research. It's very important to know what you want. You got to know what you want. Know who the players are. Know who they are. I knew her name was Elena. I knew a couple things about them, and I went to her first because I got a vibe that they were this power couple. I said something to her. she's like, oh, wow, you need to meet my husband. Yes, I do. Much nicer to meet him if I had that introduction. And this all happened in a hallway with bodyguards. But immediately I keyed into, I want to know this man. Within a minute and a half of talking to him, the way I expressed myself, I said something to her. She's like, oh, wow, you need to meet my husband. And I went, yes, I do. Much nicer to meet him if I had that introduction. And this all happened in a hallway with bodyguards. But immediately I keyed into, I want to know this man.
Hang on one sec, Forbes.
Within a minute and a half of talking to him, the way I expressed myself, I said, uh-oh.
Okay, we're good. We're good now. Go on.
So in a minute and a half of talking to him, he basically said, I would love you to come to this private event at the foundation room. Now, the crazy thing about Grant was by the time I got there the next night, he had done his homework. He knew exactly who I was, and now he was very impressed, and it was an amazing connection. But it didn't happen because I had anything more than you have. I have practiced. If I'm going to stand in an elevator with somebody and say, and we used to actually, before Donald Trump was president, he would actually, because everyone knew who he was, I would say, if you were in the elevator with Donald Trump, what would you say? Right? And the truth is, you don't tell him, oh, I've created this and I've got this course. No, you don't do that. You always have to give before you get, and you have to make it so that he can't wait to say yes. Well, how do you do that? You simply might look at him and say, I'm a huge fan of your show. I'm a baby entrepreneur, but I'm willing to work completely free. Can I have your assistant's number? He might say yes, because that's the right question.
Is this stuff coming from you being on TV so much, or where does this stuff coming from? How did you learn all this and perfected this for yourself?
Number one, I am starstruck. Mm-hmm. I have met a lot of celebrities, and I never knew what to say. And I kicked myself for the celebrities that I didn't meet because I was too afraid to go up and say hi. And I processed this over the years. Now I'm going to tell you something very interesting. I'm still, and you guys get a very cool insight into Forbes Riley. But if we weren't doing this, I don't really talk this way. I'm very happy to be very introverted. So when I'm at a party, I don't drink. Okay, you have to fail to know how to succeed. I just get to Los Angeles. I'm in my 20s, and I want to be an actress. Actually, it was my late 20s. I'm in my yellow Toyota Corolla. I've just bought it with cash. I thought I'm rocking. This is I own my own car. I get up. It's a Beverly Hills party. I drive up, and there is Bugattis and Rolls and Bentleys. And the valet, who probably makes less money than I do, looks down his nose at me. And it was like, oh, he made me feel bad. Did he really? Or did I allow myself to feel bad? I give him the keys. I walk in. And instantly I am struck by the fact that everybody in this room is thinner, richer, prettier, and more famous than I am. Everybody in the room. I recognize some actors. I saw some people, and I'm like, I don't drink. I wish I did, because I would have stayed. But I don't. You know what I did? Vick, I left. I did not get to meet my future husband, a film director, or my best friend, because I couldn't stay. I didn't know what to do with myself. And I left. And I remember thinking, on the entire drive home, I got the invitation. I'm such an idiot. How could I do that? Why? What a waste. And this is one reason I teach this now, because that's 30 years ago. Man, if I can compress time for you. And I made a vow to myself that I was going to figure this out. I needed to understand, how do I get to be in the world? How do I take my awkward self-consciousness that you are prettier and thinner and richer? Okay, so what? The universe gave me an amazing gift. Years later, I was spin gymming, and I met a little girl who's got cerebral palsy. She became one of my closest friends. I have stood by her through a lot. She became valedictorian at 19, and she was just Miss Florida wheelchair, because I love her and believe in her, and she tells people that it's because of me, like it's not really because of me, but I was that cheerleader that we started tonight with, that it takes one person to believe in you. One. Her name is Christine, and she's amazing. A couple of years, she said to me, Forbes, you are the most successful person I know. Now let me ask you a question before I give you the answer. Who here right now, out of the 400 people listening, do you feel successful after all the things that you've heard me talk about, all the celebrities I mentioned? Are you successful? Yes or no? Vick, are you successful?
Yes.
Okay, that was a pretty quick yes. Let's see some stuff come in. Yes or no? And I want to see you guys say this.
Yeah, there's about a 20-second delay, so we'll see some answers.
The question is, are you successful?
Yeah, look at that.
And then,
No.
by the way, I want you to be honest. I want you to do the first thing that comes. So I got basically, it's back and forth. It's yes and no. It's almost 50-50.
Yes, no, yes,
Now,
no. Yeah, some
yes
no,
and no.
some
And
yes.
by the way, I love the no's. So here's the thing. Whether you said yes or no, my question to you right now, because I know we're going to wrap this up shortly, is what criteria did you use to write the yes or no? So I left that party because I wasn't successful. I was not a well-known actress. I was kind of heavy. I was a size 13, 14, and successful people were a size 2. I convinced myself that I wasn't successful. I didn't have, I didn't have anything, okay? At least I didn't think I did. Christine says, Forbes, you're the most successful person I know. And I'm like, oh, is that because I'm on television and I've got this and I've got that? And she said, no, for a second. It's because you can walk across the floor in a skirt and a pair of high heel shoes, and I never will. That makes you successful. And to this day, I take a breath before I go into a room, or before I go into a meeting, or before I came tonight, and I said, you know what, Forbes Riley? You are the most successful person ever. You're not on a breathing tube. You're not living in a box. You have enough money. You have a beautiful man. You're actually more than successful. But you've been successful all along. And the only person who needed to know it was you. So for all the people who wrote no, go back and write yes. You're on this call. You got some nuggets. You're surviving this whatever's going on. And of course you're successful. I don't care how much money you have in the bank. I don't. That doesn't make you successful. If you're a yogi and you just love a life, actually happiness and success are the same thing. If you're happy. So then you got to go back and re-engineer that and go, wow, wait a second. Wow, that was powerful, right? Are you in a loving relationship with yourself and or someone else? Are you raising children, yours or someone else's? Are you giving back to the community? Do people like you? Are you just stuck? Are you too selfish? Or are you a person of the world who says, wow, if one person tells you that you inspired them. So I play the game that I did. When you watch the video on YouTube about Forbes Riley and 4P, I ask a woman, what do you want? I ask her several times. Now I'm going to ask, this is a very powerful moment for you. You guys are kind of making history right now.
Yeah.
And Vick doesn't really know this. Go watch that videotape. It's Forbes Riley, the letter 4P, 4%. Her name is Larry Thomas. She got up on stage and she had a beautiful moment for me and she talked about what does she want. Larry Thomas lives in Orlando. She came to my Forbes Factor. She became a devout fan of mine. If you go to Facebook, you'll see that I am her. In fact, I'm her Facebook header and her Facebook profile person. I'm with her. I met her after 4% and she fell in love. She lost 68 pounds. She got her life straight. And January of this last year, a year ago January, she died of cancer. She died before I met her because some level she lost her husband in a motorcycle accident and it ate at her and she never got over that. She died because no one ever told her that she was pretty. No one ever told her that she was enough. She was abused and put down and she believed all of those things. When I found her and I believed in her, her life changed. I loved that little woman. Oh my gosh. But you can't eat away at yourself thinking that you're not enough. And is it always easy? No. But I think you've heard enough of my story that I didn't always look like this. I didn't always have, this is all nice and all. But I think all those stories allowed me to stand here and say, guess what? You are successful. I would love you to simply literally go, wow, say I'm successful. Say I am successful. Shit, you know what? I am a mother of 2 beautiful kids. That makes me successful. I own a phone. That makes me successful. Vick likes me. Yeah. That makes me successful. I don't care what you use as a criteria. You can't ever say no again. Okay? It doesn't serve you. Wow, that should blow your mind. I am successful. And guess what? I am enough. I am enough. And here's the crazy thing. Here's the funny thing about saying I'm enough. You, whoever's watching me right now, you're not thin enough. You're not pretty enough. Vick doesn't have enough hair. I don't got much money. You're not enough. I can find all kinds of reasons to tell you you're not enough. And you know what? Who cares? Because this is who you are. And guess what? This must be enough because it's what I am. And I am enough. And when you own that, there's no question mark. Oh, I am enough. No, screw it. You know what? I am. I must be because I'm still here. I must be because you're listening to me. I must be because, and you find reasons to make yourself believe it. There's two parts of your brain. There's the conscious and the subconscious. I spent years studying hypnosis. I became fascinated by how this brain works. I got given a play one day. Lily Tomlin, the amazing comedian, let me do her one-woman show, right? I know, collect another story. It was 250 pages long, the book that she, and I had to do that all on stage with no teleprompter for 2.5 hours playing audition. I got the part, I got the job. And when I got the job, as I was driving to location, I'm thinking, I'm an idiot. I can't do this. Nobody can do this. Why did I say yes? And the first week of rehearsals, I threw up every day and thought, I don't care if I'm talented, I can't do this. And I made myself nuts. Well, funny thing about life. Vic, I don't know how it happened, but I found myself in a hypnotist's office. And I said, I'm screwed. They have to fire me because I can't do this. And he said, what if I gave you the 3 secrets that would allow you to do this? I'm like, okay, magician genie. Number 1, stop saying you can't. And I'm like, that's bullshit. Why would I can't. Nobody can. She said, stop saying it. I said, okay, I can do it. I can do it. Notice I'm not really saying it. I can do it. And then I sat for a second. I thought, well, if I don't say that, I won't ever get to do this. And so then I said to myself, take it seriously. Okay, all right, you know what? Okay, I can do this. They gave me the job. I can do this. I can do this. I can do it. Okay, and I had to do this enough till he believed me. He wouldn't give me the second secret. It took like a half hour for me to convince him that I can convince myself. Now, this is the funny thing. Your brain has a conscious, that's you and I talking right now, but has a subconscious. When you go to sleep at night, somebody makes your hair grow. Somebody takes care of your digestion. Somebody's doing all the work, makes your eyelashes grow, fixes the cuts on you.
Yep.
Do you do that? No. And the funny thing about your conscience is you think that you're in charge. You're not. Now, here's the crazy, this is the biggest nugget of the night. Your subconscious has no sense of humor. What does that mean? That means if you tell this subconscious that you can't do something, it will help you make sure that you can't. And the subconscious go, but you can't. Now, I watched this firsthand. I was studying hypnosis. And by the way, do some of the things that I do. Go study hypnosis. Go study improv. Go do some of these things. If you want to be bigger and better, entrepreneurs are not telling you to do this. You don't need another class in ClickFunnels. You don't need another class. Go do some of the things that I did to become a better person. When you take improv, you learn to listen better. I didn't know how to do that. I learned it. So hypnotism taught me some of these things. So get this. In the middle of our hypnotist class, we actually went to a show, and I got up on stage, and a very wonderful hypnotist, he says, all right, everybody up here, you cannot remember your last name. And I'm standing like everyone else, and I'm kind of, I know what's going on. I think I'm okay. He gets to the guy next to me. The guy takes out his driver's license. Hypnotist says, so what's your name? You can't remember your last name. He's like, my name is Edward. And I'm thinking, you're an idiot. It's Edward Smooker. I can see it right there, Smooker. It's Smooker. And I'm not saying that, but I'm like, and he doesn't say it. The guy gets to me, and my little voice says, your name is Forbes Riley. I'm like, I know my name. He says, so, hey, Forbes, what's your full name? And I'm like, Forbes.
No way.
And I'm not saying anything. And the little voice goes, it's Riley. I'm like, I know, but I can't say it. It's not, I don't know why can't. And he went on to the next person. And I'm sitting there going, what just happened? What just happened? And what happened was my subconscious said in my head, you told me you didn't remember your last name, so we didn't let you say it. You could have said it if you really wanted to, but we made a little agreement that you didn't know it. And I'm like, what just happened? Then he gets over, this was the best thing I ever did, by the way. Then he gets over there and he's got a fake air gun. He's like, I'm going to shoot all you guys, and when I shoot you, you're going to fall over like this. Okay, I'm thinking, this is now stupid. I'm not going to fall over. I've got my friends watching me. He shoots the first group of people. They all fall over. He points at me, and I'm like, and I'm lying there thinking, why did I do that? Why did I do that? And it's dawning on me. That's one reason our teacher took us to this, because you have to experience this. It's really weird. You decided and told your subconscious that's what's going to happen. So let's go back to the beginning of tonight. Why do you make a vision board? Because your subconscious can either look at your surroundings and go, oh, we're supposed to live like this, or it can look at that beautiful house and say, we're supposed to live there. We're supposed to have that dog. We're supposed to have that guy. And it does a lot of work to make that happen because it doesn't know what you're looking at is right or wrong. And when you believe that with your whole heart, you will talk differently. You will stop saying the phrase, I don't know. You will stop saying you can't. And you will start to go, wow, what's possible? What am I not to know? I'm pretending not to know how amazing I am. I'm pretending I can do this, even if you, and I don't, you can't say you can't. I coached my son's Little League. They were 8 years old in Little League. My son comes home one day, he's terrified. Mom, the ball's gonna hit me in the head, because he would like this. And I sat him down, I got him very relaxed. I said, well, let's see if this works. I said, Riker, the baseball bat has a magnet on it. And your body has an anti-magnet. The ball comes and it is drawn to the bat, and when you hit it, it releases it and it goes all the way over the fence. Mm. They won the championship that year. All I'm going to tell you, this is more amazing than you would imagine. So I talk about dreaming. A lot of the dreams, Vic, I had dreams of all kinds of things. And what I'm saying, do it anyway. I dare you, prove me wrong. Go for it. You know, Vic had this thing in his head about 4%. He had this vision. He had vision of a beautiful wife, and all of that's come true, hasn't it, my friend?
Absolutely. Everything I have ever written down, actually everything 100% came about. Not one thing that did not come about that I actually written down that I wanted. Crazy. Forbes, you're talking about the power of subconscious mind. A couple of things. Number one, we need to have you back. Number two, we need to, this stuff that you're talking about, Forbes, we need to bring this information in a way that would help entrepreneurs. Right now, more than ever before, entrepreneurs need this information. It's not about, you mentioned ClickFunnels and all these, tricks and gadgets and widgets and all everybody's talking about, the latest plugin or whatever. All that stuff is like, yes, you need that. But that is so shallow, because what you're talking about is we just covered like last 2 weeks, Forbes. I've been here every single day talking about, the language of money, right? I've been talking about, yesterday, I had a show, we talked about, speaking the world into existence. Like literally, I did not know we're going to have this conversation today about the stuff we talked about today. But it literally so, comes together. Entrepreneurs, the 4% entrepreneurs, I believe need this kind of information so that they can grow themselves. Because in the time of crisis like this, your skills can go, who cares about you being an accountant right now, right? Who cares that you went to a class and became the economist? Nobody needs you anymore right now. See what I'm saying? Forbes. And what makes you unique in this world is your gift, it's your uniqueness, it's your seed, and people come to you to get your fruits. And what you've been sharing tonight, has been some of your fruits from Forbes Riley, right? And that's why people gather around. And so we need to teach 4% entrepreneurs this kind of stuff. How do they become that valuable seed that can produce the fruit that other people will want? And so that way, it doesn't matter what industry you're in, what product you're selling. You can go from selling this offer on TV or that product or that product. Are you down for coming back to 4%? I know this is like on a spot question.
I am.
Yeah.
I'll share one little last thing.
Yeah.
I'm still sometimes, so guys, and I read in your comments, thank you. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for believing that my message matters. I'm not very good at getting people in a room. I love that Vic did this. I've been a fan of 4% since day one. You changed my life. Your event in Orlando and me watching the video of me and what happened between Larry and everything changed my life. I owe you a lot. But I'm going to give you one more insight. So ask me what I do.
Forbes, what do you do?
I could tell you that I've grossed $2.5 billion. I could tell you that I'm a TV host. I could tell you that I'm a mother. I could tell you a lot of things that I do. I don't say any of those things because I won't get the reaction I want. I don't want to stand here and read you my credits. So I created the greatest fitness product on the planet. Want to see it?
Yeah.
That's all I do.
Gotcha.
And I will tell you, my life has been fun because of that. I just get people to say yes. We play. I touch them. I don't care if they buy it or not. It's irrelevant to me.
Yeah.
I want to have fun. I don't want to feel uncomfortable. And I've tried going to parties without it, and I don't have as much fun. I like the little crazy thing I created. And so the next time we all meet, one of the things that maybe Vic sends out, a message to you guys, maybe I can help a little bit, because I'd like to hear some of the things that you think you do, and let me tweak that, or how uncomfortable you are saying your name. And I would love to give you actionable things to do to make it work for you. Because the bottom line that I've discovered, when you say, what do you want? Please don't tell me that you want to be a millionaire. I don't really care how much money you have in the bank. And tell me you don't want to travel. I don't care where you can say, I want to go to Greece this summer with my daughter before she graduates so I don't miss that. That's a real plan. You tell me what you want, and between the 400 people we're talking to, and Vic and I, we actually can probably help you get it. But just like Grubhub, if you're vague, you're going to not get anything, and then you're going to wonder, well, it didn't work. Oh, yeah. So I would love to take the next time that we meet and hone it down to make it work for you guys. Because the best thing you can do for me, the thing that I wanted, people say, Forbes, what do you want, right? I played that game a lot, and I went through all the silly things. When I finally got to my truth, my life began, and this is about 18 years ago. Here's what I want. I want to be told every day that I inspired somebody. So if I did that to you today, tonight, it was worth my time to not be with my kids and not be with my man. Go to social media. I'm all over Facebook or Instagram, and just say, hey, you inspired me, or whatever it is that you felt, because that's what I discovered that makes me happy, makes me feel like my life is worthwhile. And that's the only thing that I need, really.
What do you guys think? Should we have Forbes Riley back on 4%? I think, Forbes, I think you owe to humanity to share what you know. And I think your stuff that you have been through, your life, your perspective, your experience, your knowledge, your wisdom, I think that needs to be expanded. I think every entrepreneur should hear these ideas. And I think just look at the comments, they're on fire. And if you can see the comments, right?
I can see it.
Right.
My heart is just going, geez, that's so
right. See,
crazy.
there is, the whole thing that we talk about here. There's a difference how the 4%ers approach life versus how everybody else, the 96%ers approach life, right? And so I really honestly believe that what you shared tonight will change people's thinking, which hopefully will start to change their actions and turn that 2 degree off, that difference, 2 degrees, a little bit today, a little bit tomorrow, ultimately it changes the destination completely. Forbes, I want to thank you so much for giving us your time here, in an hour and 22 minutes. We appreciate you. Thank you for, blessing the 4% community here with your knowledge here tonight. You guys get a lot of cool stuff. Yeah, share this with people that you care about. And we want to, introduce people to these ideas, because this is the kind of stuff that people need right now more than ever before. It's what makes you valuable in the marketplace, in the community. The power of subconscious mind. I still want to get to communication. I still want to get to the posture, how you present yourself, Forbes, but we just don't have the time tonight. And I know I want to be respectful of your time a lot. So I do want to bring you back one of these days, because I think there is a lot of people that can benefit from what you have.
I love you guys. First of all, can I honestly say thank you? I'm sitting here in tears, actually, because I don't think a lot of celebrities, the people that you think are celebrities, feel as much as I do about what, I mean, I'm looking at this and I'm just going, wow, wow. And thank you guys so much, more than you know. You made my night. I'm just loving this so much. I'm not going to take this and frame it on my wall. So yeah, I do have some real techniques, things that I'm happy to share. And this was awesome, Vic. I love you. Thank you.
We love you too, Forbes. All right, everybody. Watch this. Oh, you probably will